Friends see that.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to my Educator Spotlight. It's a new series that I started because I have been blessed to have so many amazing educators and authors, but especially educators in my life, and I want to share them with the world, or whoever watches. And so we're coming in live from a few places. I'm coming in live from Anchorage, Alaska, and today I have an amazing guest. She is my friend. Just sharing space with her, whether it's in real life or whether it's online, is always a treat for me because I learned so much from her. My friend's name, and probably you already know, her name is Knikole Taylor. And this summer, she organized the Rethink Learning Summit. It was an idea that she had, and she went with it. She took a big risk. We're going to talk about that. She's an educator. She's an author. She's a mother. She has her hands in so many. And she's a district leader. So I'm gonna get into your brain in a minute. But Knikole, thank you so much for joining. It's such an honor to have you here tonight.
Thank you. I want you to introduce me everywhere, like walking in the grocery store, like going into church, coming into my home, because I want to be that person that you just
You
introduced.
are. You are that
Thank you.
person. You
Thank you
are.
so
So
much.
you're welcome. No, you are that person. And it's funny that you say that because I see you. Yes, I'm like, Knikole. But for those people who aren't as familiar with you, tell us a little bit about like the job that you do every day and just the different things that you have your hands in.
Yes, so my name is Knikole Taylor, and I am an instructional technology coordinator with Life School. We have 9 charter campuses, open enrollment charter schools in the Dallas area. We have 6 elementary campuses, K-6, and then we have 3 secondary campuses. So I get to work with all of our teachers and leaders with just help them. I consider myself a thought partner, just to help them figure out ways to intentionally use technology for teaching and learning. And so that in itself is it's just so much fun to me. I knew early on in my career as a teacher that I like to help teachers. Like I like to be very helpful. And so this job just enables me to just remove barriers for teachers and just help them to even be better at the amazing work that they do every day. I am also some things that my hands are in. I'm a grad school student. That right there is like
Wow.
that
You're,
consumes my
you're going to
life
be
right now.
Dr. Nicole.
I am
Woo!
Dr. Nikki, right? So I'm a grad school student at Dallas Baptist University. I'm also a mom of 3 amazing kids. I have a 16-year-old junior, and then I have 2 9-year-old fourth graders, a husband of 19 years as well. Um,
Wow.
those things really occupy that's probably what I'm most proud of. Um, that's what um, that's what my people, that's what makes me go and do better, and they make me better. So that's probably what I'm most proud of.
And I believe it because, following you and we were talking about finding that balance before we went live, finding that balance of, hustling a little bit because we're both, entrepreneurs and stuff like that, but also disconnecting from the world, reading books. And I'm surprised that you don't feel like you have it balanced. I feel like you're very available to all of us that learn from you. But then I also know that you put your family first. Like that to me goes without saying because I do know you and I know that you care so deeply about your kids and right now schooling. And we talked
Mhm.
this summer about finding
I
schooling
thought
that was
about
good for
you the other
them.
day.
What did you think about?
I thought about you the other day because oh, is that edtech Mason?
Hey, thank you, Mace. Yes, so
I thought
cool.
about you the other day, but we have, because we were thinking like, will we stay online? Will I just totally disconnect and homeschool them? But their teacher loop with them. And she is something amazing. They have another teacher
Is
too,
that
that's Kelly. You know
Yeah, I was
Kelly?
gonna
Have you
say,
met
yeah,
Kelly?
Kelly. Yes, let's give a shout out to Kelly.
Kelly
Yes.
is something amazing. So we are having like an epic year, which I knew we would. But once I knew that we would have her, and I knew that the school system would do everything that they could do. It's just everything's so hard right now, and so so far, knock on wood, it's been going really well for both. My kids will. They'll be home for the foreseeable future just because there's so many things we don't know. But my high schooler, my elementary kids. We've kind of gotten into a groove, and we're rocking and rolling. And it's like you said, like you don't have to be on like a strict schedule. Like we go to bed when we feel like it. They have to get up, so they can get up sleepy. They can get up well rested, and we just, they know the things they need to get through every day. So it's rocking. I was just thinking about you last week though,
That's
around
so cool.
schooling.
Yeah, and I was even talking to myself last night because every day I kind of reflect on how the day went, and I added a kindergartner to my homeschooling troop this year because I have second, fourth, and sixth, and I was every night I think about like the things that were well and the things that were wrong, and I'm like I got to get up earlier, and then I thought,
Yep.
why do I got to get up earlier? Like if this works for us, why do I put that weird pressure? And then I even offer today, like, what are the things that are working? And so this kind of brings me to our first topic. But what is leadership through pandemic? What is that like? Because you are a leader not only in the virtual world in the edtech space, but you're a leader like in your district. And so I want to kind of probe your mind a little bit. What is that like right now?
Whoa. I would
No, it's
say,
super deep.
I know. Yeah. Talk
Just-
about kids. Now let's go deeper. Um, I would say, and I'm thinking about not just myself as a leader, but like I'm thinking about my director. I'm thinking about my former director who was with me, leading me throughout the beginning of this pandemic, as well. And so, of course, you want to mimic good leadership. And so, I can say that I work for some really great leaders as well, just making yourself available. We hopped on Zoom and just had some conversations, and conversations about work. When the George Floyd incident happened, we hopped on Zoom, and she wanted to make sure that I was okay as a person, as a not as an education, as an educator, but just as a Black woman in America, how I was processing and what I felt like. That I will never forget that. And so I think, as a leader, being human and being available, being flexible, those are some of the things that I have been gifted just by the amazing leaders that support my work. And so then I try to do the same thing for the teachers that I support, not necessarily trying to make my vision their vision, right? But being open to listen to them and hear them out. And that's one of the things I learned too, because I learned how to kind of juggle and triage to meet teachers' needs because we have so many teachers during the pandemic. But when I made myself available to have like phone conversations or to hop on a video chat, there were lots of tears. There were, and it wasn't just over the tech. I mean, life is like really hard. So I think also like just being human and being that human connection and that listening ear that sometimes people need. So I just think in the middle of a pandemic, you have to be available and you have to be flexible. You have to figure out a way to connect with the people that you support. And I think when I think on the leaders that I want to mimic, or when I get in a bind, the leaders that I text or call or think, what would that person do? You always have leading with a servant's heart, like knowing that you as a leader, you're not in charge. Being the leader doesn't mean I'm in charge. Being the leader means that you want to serve others. I'll never forget, and I always talk about my former superintendent, Dr. Michael McFarland, when I took my first job, under him in district admin. He said, Taylor, are you ready? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. He goes, well, your only job is to remove barriers. When you move into central office, your job is to remove barriers. And so that has been my stance from that time forward. I just see myself as a barrier remover. And so just depending on what role I'm in right now, it's with instructional technology. So how can I use technology to remove barriers? I don't want anything to stand in the way of teachers being successful. I don't want anything to stand in the way of teachers feeling as if I have their back, feeling as if they are amazing. And I definitely don't want anything standing in the way of kids. So whatever I can do to remove those barriers, that's what I do.
I love that. I've been writing it down. Someone commenting says, preach, Nicole, be available. Connection is key. I wish, sorry that it comes up Facebook user. Tell us who you are, but yes, totally agree. And so what are you seeing? I'm writing all of these things down and I'm going to sum it all up before we leave. What are you seeing that other like teachers and educators in your community, what are they doing? Or even Kelly, what are they doing that is making sure, how could I address this? How are the barriers like coming down? Like you're taking barriers down, but then you see other educators taking barriers down. How do
Yes.
you, how is that happening in your district or in your community?
And that is great. I kind of feel too like I'm big on like reciprocal learning, right? I feel like when you give, like it's reciprocated, right? So not
Mhm.
only do I see teachers helping each other, teachers are helping me. There's one of me. We have 9 campuses. So teachers are eager to, hey, this is something that I know. I know it will help teachers. Here's a recording. Can you help me get this out? Or hey, this is something that I know we have district newsletters that are going to start going out at the end of this month. And of course, teachers just setting up Zooms and, going in now we're face to face, but setting up Zooms, sharing best practices. It's just been, I mean, it grew. We did a badging program in our district, but I'm saying the level of knowledge and support, like it just kind of spread like I don't want to say wildfire because we're having wildfires right now, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. I mean, I don't mean to be insensitive, but
Right.
that is the first thing that comes to mind. It just
We'll
kind of
say weeds,
spread.
spreading like weeds, right?
Yeah, spread like weeds. Yeah.
Or lice. That's something that we spreading like lice.
Yes, because you can't get rid of
Right.
those, right?
It takes a while, believe me. I know. I've been through it a few times. um, that is so cool. So, what is your absolute favorite part of your job?
Oh, I think the favorite part of my job is empowering teachers. I know I was a classroom teacher for 10 years. That will always be my favorite job. Having those little humans, I'll forever be a teacher. So I know that's a hard job. I feel like that's the hardest job in a school district because there's just so much you have to do. So my favorite thing is just to see the light bulb go off when a teacher is like, "Oh, I was already doing great stuff. This is just gonna bump me up. It's just gonna bump me up a notch." That's
Yeah.
that that's what I love about my role now is that I get to just go in and show teachers like, "You're already amazing. Like, look how this is gonna just amplify it and bump it up just a little bit more."
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was the happy. What's the hardest part of your job?
Oh, I think. What is the hardest part of my job?
What do you dread? Let's go there. Like, what is the thing that you don't look forward to?
I'm not good at. Well, I can tell you what I'm not good at. I'm not I'm not good at like the desk stuff. Like the paperwork stuff. I'm not good at that. I think I do dread that.
Yes.
I'll yeah, and I'll say too, I think I always worry about the people that I can't get to. Because I know sometimes people get so frustrated and they feel so alone. I'm talking about in a regular year. I mean,
Right.
don't even talk about adding this pandemic on top of that. So I always worry about the teacher who doesn't feel comfortable enough to reach out. So they're just drowning and drowning and drowning. Those are the people that I worry about most.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. And we all work with people who are feeling that way. And for some of us, it's easy to ask for help, and for others, it's not. It's
Yeah.
just we feel like failures if we don't have all the answers ourselves or we can't get to those answers. So I'm glad you said that. And so while you've been a leader, oh, Regina says, "Hey, Regina."
Hey,
She says, "Yeah."
Regina, friend. It's just like I just want to soak up all the information and then go to teachers and just like see if we can make it work with teachers and kids. But there's a lot of things that have to come before that and after that. So
Right. What this is a little bit of a hard question too. So I kind of like just kind of sprung this on you right before we went. But what are some of the lessons that you've already started learning and maybe they've been through since last spring, maybe they were through the summer, maybe it was through the Rethink Learning Summit. What are some of the lessons that you've been learning lately that are like right there in your brain that you've been reflecting on?
I think the biggest lesson, oh, hey, Regina, she's so sweet. I love her. I think the biggest, I guess I'll start with the Rethink Learning Summit. We were able to create like a community of people who simply wanted to like learn, right? That just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
learn and share. Like that's all we were learning and we were sharing and learning and sharing. That was amazing. So I think what I've taken away from that is you don't have to wait on someone else to create what you need, right? If you want, because I was having all of these conversations because I wanted someone to tell me that's a terrible idea. Like, don't do that. But everyone else, we had so many presenters. We
Mm-hmm.
had almost 40 sessions. And
Mm-hmm.
we planned it. I say we because I was like, Mel, I need help. I need help. Help me. Girl, that was like in no time that was planned because I wanted someone to say, no, it's not a good idea. But what happened was I know what I needed, right? I needed to connect with people who didn't necessarily, want spotlight or shine. Like they just wanted to talk about best practices. They wanted to learn best practices. They wanted to, to have good things to take back for teachers and to take back for students. And so that's my biggest thing that I've walked away and I feel empowered to just continue to create the spaces that I need for my own personal growth. Because other people will come too, and then they'll be able to grow as well. Because I mean, I'm still blown away about what we were able to create. My only regrets is next year when we do it again, it'll be longer because I wanted more face time. But I was blown away by the community we were able to create in such a short amount of time, for sure. I will say also, like during the pandemic, my biggest my biggest takeaway of 2020, other than how to properly wash my hands and the vitamins I need to take to stay healthy, and we've been in the house, right? Like we've been in a bubble since March for sure. Has been self care.
Mm-hmm.
That you got to take care of yourself, and I know that's something that we do as women is we think we have to be so self-sacrificing. Like I gotta make sure my husband's good. I gotta make sure my kids are good. And then that transpires into work. I gotta make sure my team is good. Gotta make sure my teachers are good. But you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to make sure that you are good. And so, in the past, I would say, okay, once a month or once every other month, I'm going to do something for myself. No, I'm going to do something for myself every day. I'm going to do something
Amen.
to take care of myself. I mean, that's like minimum, right? Like you should
Right.
do, and I'm not saying something big. I'm saying like I may take a bike ride to the park and sit and read alone. That's self-care. That's self-care, right?
It is. And I mean, I love how you said the word alone because
Honey,
it's
alone. Something that is disconnected from everyone. It's what I need for me, right? And so
right.
that's probably been my biggest I had a bike ride one morning and I sat there and I was like, oh, self-care. And then it hit me like, no, like minimum, girl, you need to take care of yourself every day. Like you need to eat,
Yes.
brush teeth, you need to bathe, and then you need to do something that just sets you like up for success. And so I've tried to do that every single day. What do I need to feel good for myself? How can I take care of myself every day? It's not a big prize or gift to give yourself ever so often. Like it's minimal because you can't really take care of other people if you're not taking good care of yourself.
Right. And the longer you go without taking care of yourself, I mean, just you can get bitter. And I mean, I laughed when you said the word alone, but because we've all been closed in and I have 5 kids. So even if I don't, have a bunch of students, like I don't ever get that opportunity to be alone. And I have realized that it's been hard also. So that's
Yep.
what made me laugh because
Yep.
it's so real. It's
Yep.
absolutely real.
And I
And I
don't
know
know,
that you,
have your kids been extra clingy though? Like since you're home?
yeah. And part of that is okay because I felt like when I was working full time, we got away. We were kind of strangers, And so there's a part of me that loves like that my oldest, she's about to be 12. And I felt like she was kind of growing, like we were like not growing together. And it scared me
Mm-hmm.
because, teenage years, you have a teenager. Like I want us to grow closer, not apart. I want her to always know that no matter what she does in life or who she is, like I'm her biggest fan. Besides God, he loves her more than I ever could. But she has been definitely like we have grown closer. It's been amazing. There are times though I'm just like, you know what? I've got to like go to the bathroom and I need to shut the door. So like just
Give
they
me a
mostly let me
minute.
yeah.
That's
But
my
mostly
daughter.
it's good.
Yeah, that's my
I
daughter. I
should have
only have one
I shouldn't
daughter.
have said that. Right.
No,
They
honey,
all
when
do
you
that.
said it,
Every single one of them do that.
yeah, when you said it, I was like, Or if you don't lock the door, they'll try to come in on you, for sure.
Yeah.
But I have a dot. I only have one girl, and so she always pulls at my heartstrings. She's like, I thought we could spend some girl time together.
Oh my
But I also
gosh.
think it's important for her to hear me say things like, hey, y'all, I'm not doing anything else for y'all for the rest of the night. I'm going to go watch a show. Don't ask me for anything else. You're on your own. Or for her to hear me say, I'm getting out of the house. I'll be back when I get back. I'm going to do, and probably, I'm not going anywhere, but in my car to the park or on my bike to the park. But I think it's important for my kids to see that too.
Yeah, I do too, and I like how real you are. I try to be real, but you're a little bit nicer the way that you are real with your kids. I feel like I get to that point
Uh,
where I'm just like, leave me alone, I just lose it. So I need to be, yeah, like it's true. And another thing that they're always like, well, I'm bored, and it's rainy
uh,
here, and it's really rainy. It's not like a little bit of rain, and it's really windy, and we're not used to that, and so the kids are not outside playing like normal, and summer's over, and it's truthfully fall here. And so they're like, I'm bored. I'm bored. And I'm just like, okay, well, I have to, read a book, draw something. Like, I'm not here to entertain you
I say
24/7.
that too. I say you're bored, then you can go wash the dishes. You can wash a load of
Yeah.
clothes. You can vacuum. You can straighten up the front room. You can go straighten my closet. Yeah, we don't usually hear the word. We don't hear the word bored too much because I have a lot of things to help you with boredom. But I've used that same line. Like, it's not my job to entertain you. And if we're always, I remember, my oldest was an only child for 7 years, and my husband would always say that, like, I feel like he's bored. I feel like we need to do. I'm like, if you make kids think that they're going to be entertained their entire, like, it's our job to entertain them, then when they go in the real world, they're going to be set up for failure because no one's trying to entertain them. Like, you figure out what you want, what you need, and then you make that happen.
Yeah, it's true. And I love that. And we do chores and everything. The kids know like you can't get on the computer and do Roblox or whatever until you do chores. But I also struggle with their chores are horrible. Like they're just the worst at washing dishes. But
Oh,
I
mine
know
are
they're trying.
too. Mine are too. I feel like they're gonna grow into that ministry, and I'm not gonna stand in the way of that growth. I
Right.
refuse to stand in the way of that growth. Yeah, there's just some things I don't do. I let them do it. But there's some things they don't do, like work and pay bills. So we're even, right?
Right. Right. It's true. It's true. And they're like, well, why don't I get this? Well, because I pay, some of the rent here,
Thank
so
you.
sorry.
Because I birth you. How about that?
I know. I love this. I love this. Yes. And so we're getting closer to the end. How can people follow you, or where do you like people to follow you? That are just like
Um,
they're like, oh my gosh, who is this amazing mom, educator, author? Oh my gosh, and you have to tell me about your book because I don't know what's the latest.
Oh,
So
do
I hope
not
it's.
call me out. Is that your way of calling me out and telling me to get on track? You
I
can call
kind of
me out,
am.
though. You can call me out because I love you. You can call me out because I love you. You can connect with me on Twitter at Knikole. I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/Knikole. And my website, NikoleTaylor.com. Those are all the places. I'm on Twitter a lot because it's just so easy to hop on the app. But those are all the places to find me.
Is it facebook.com the slash Nicole Taylor or just Nicole?
Just Nicole.
Okay. I'm going to put that up here because
Yeah.
you're a good person to follow. You're knowledgeable about a lot.
Am I a
Okay,
jack of
so
all trades and a master of
kind of
none?
are. You kind well, I wouldn't say that. So I'm dropping that in here, but tell us, okay, now I'm going to call you, like, what's up with this book? Are you still doing it? Like, is it a thing?
So, girlfriend, yes, it's a thing. I was actually looking at that earlier today. I have a few stories from a few authors. It's a compilation, one and only. I had a conversation started over a year ago now, pre-pandemic. You know, life, right? We have a big idea, and then life. Hey, Miss Johnson. I was having a conversation with a student. I went to a high school, great high school, lovely high school. People were great. After school, was walking around. Why? Because I wanted to see kids and see the building. And so the building was a little empty, and there was a student walking up the stairs, a black high school boy, reminded me of my own son. When I saw him, he was walking towards the gym. My son's a basketball player, so he totally reminded me of my oldest. And he was walking towards the gym, and there were two um, white girls standing at the gym looking in, and I could hear them talking to him. They said, "Do not come closer to us. We don't feel comfortable." And he was just like, "What? I don't understand. Like, my hands are in my pocket. We go to the same school. Why would you not feel comfortable? It's out in the open." But I mean, he knew to walk away, so that it didn't escalate. And so I, had a conversation with him and asked him, was he okay? Let him know that I witnessed the whole thing. And then we just started talking about race and how that plays out for him in high school. And then it just brought me on, made me think about, all of the times where, I was like the one and only woman, the one and only Black person, the one and only Black woman, and just how those instances of people just being I don't want to say insensitive, I want to say ignorant, because I think in 2020, like, a lot of people don't know because they choose they choose not to know. And so I just kind of posted, went to Twitter like I often do and did a brain dump. And so many people were like, this is my story, this is my story, like, oh my God, you're bringing back memories. And so I was like, hey, let's put our stories together. And I have a few stories that I'm going to weave into my own story, and eventually that will be a book. And Melody is a good friend, and she's saying, "Hey, girl, hey." She's saying, "Hey, girl, hey, where's that book?"
Well, I think it's going to be a great book, and I'm just, I know that you were super on fire about it last year, and whatever I can do to support you, of course, you know that I will, because I can't wait to read it. So it's going to be powerful, just like
Thank
everything.
you.
Yeah, and just, you put out a lot of powerful things. You're not afraid to just say it like it is, and sometimes that's exactly what needs to be said, just how it is, no sugarcoating. And like you said, at this point in time, when we're not willing to get out of our little bubbles or get out of, the world that we see, that's kind of like willful ignorance.
Yep.
There's just so much out there. Yeah.
Yep. You could do a
And
Google
so,
search. You can read a book. You could join a Twitter chat. You could hop on a Zoom. And I understand, like, race is so hard for people to talk about. Like, I think it's hard because the generations before us were taught not to talk about it, right? Because it is so hurtful. I mean, even going back to the foundation of this country, just thinking about, like,
yes.
race and how that's played into the haves and the have-nots, and how it's played into deaths and murder, and now in 2020, systemic racism, and so people don't want to talk about it, but we don't get better by not talking about things. And just like with anything else, if there's something that I want to cook and I don't know how to cook it, I go to the Google and I look it up. So if you don't know, or things come up, and you know that you have biases or tendencies that make you mistreat others or view people differently than you should. I mean, you can choose to be better, or at this point, I just think people are just making the choice to not be, right?
Yeah, I do agree. And it's not comfortable, and you're going to face criticism, and it's just something that goes along with just plowing through for our children and for the generations that are following us, so they're not constantly dealing with all of this, so they're not being traumatized all the time. And we're just you know, we may never eradicate like what you and I believe is a complete sin, a complete evil. And we may not, like people can't eradicate evil like altogether, but we can sure make a difference,
Yep,
and
that's what I say. In your corner of the world, like what can you do
yeah.
where you are with what you have? And so maybe that's reading a book and then sharing what you read, or
Hmm.
maybe it's reading a book and actually putting it into practice in your own life. Because
Yes.
once you work on self, you'll be amazed at what you can do in just your little circle of influence.
Yeah, yeah. We're getting close to our time, and I always want to be super respectful about that. But I am so appreciative that you are in my circle, that I'm in your circle, whatever. Like when I first started like on this journey, I learned even more from you. And sometimes it's easy to just shut up and listen to other people because I didn't know anything. And so you were one of those people that I saw you step out there, and I just started learning. Then I got to meet you at TCC. Is it 3Cs? In Houston,
TCCA,
TCC.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
two C's.
TCCA. Yeah, TCCA. That was like 2 or 3 years ago at this point. And then of course I got to meet you at ISTE, and I always fall. And it's funny because we didn't even live far from each other when I was
No,
in Texas. But
we've gotten
so
so close since you moved to Alaska, right?
yeah, just gosh, yeah, it's crazy. I wish it wasn't like that for a lot of people, but yeah, it's definitely. So I hope that you have a great night with your family. I want to thank everybody that tuned in and watched. Thank you for sharing your comments. Thank you for sharing this time with us. I really hope that you'll look up Knikole at Knikole, and I'm going to take this banner off so that you can see her Twitter handle again. Look her up, NikoleTaylor.com. Just follow her. She's somebody wonderful to learn from. And also be prepared to hear more about the Rethink Learning Summit. It was great success this past summer. We're going to do it again, and it's something that we want you to be a part of. So I hope you have a great night. I will be back here next Thursday with another educator to spotlight. So I hope to see you again. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
Melody.
Thank you.